Okay. So a tool that I came across many years ago was for business purposes. It was a book that is very popular among people that are entrepreneurs, salesmen, small business owners, the go-getters, on your sales team. And so um, I first came to understand sexual transmutation as a business idea. Now, what it is, of course, you see the word sexual, you think it is, something that might be a little risque, but it's not. Sexual transmutation basically is taking that sexual energy and putting it into something else. And and that's a big kick that I'm on right now is ways that we can show up differently in how we view sex. Sex isn't a dirty thing, but it can be used in such a way. And so what sexual transmutation, a great way to see it, and how I started to learn of it, were those people who were very powerful in business. They're very high sexed people, but they're not out having sex with everything that they can. They're working, 16-hour days throughout the whole week. And they're very driven, motivated people. You can almost, if you watch closely, when somebody who's has a lot of charisma, they're very motivating, they're in your face, there's almost this sexual energy coming from them. It's not that they're turned on or they're trying to turn you on. There's nothing sexual about the correlation between you and that person, but they're simply taking that energy and they're harnessing it and using it elsewhere. Now, I used to experiment with this a little bit in that I would, to some extent, without getting into detail, become somewhat aroused, and I would then stop it, and I would go to work, and I would just be radiating with this energy. Team leads would even say, "Man, you're on it today. What are you doing differently?" And it's not that I was on edge, but I was at this moment where, and I want to be careful with the words that I use because this is a sensitive subject, but I would be right on that edge of some type of a climax. Now, the reason why I'm getting into this is, I did a video once before on how unnecessary it is having sex with somebody before you get married. There's those of you that are going to do it. I've done it. That's just the way the world is sometimes. But it's not necessary. You can really come to see how somebody is in that type of a setting by the way that they kiss or the way that they interact with you. I kid you not. If somebody's very rigid in life, they're going to be very rigid in a intimate situation. If somebody's very sensual in some other setting, they're probably going to be in an intimate situation. It's the same way. If somebody kisses and there's passion and sensuality, they're going to be that way in an intimate situation. It's so unnecessary to cross those boundaries. And so that's why I'm getting into the sexual transmutation, is that you can put that energy into your dating, into your relationships. And it can be very effective and very powerful. Does not mean that you have to use that energy to have sexual relationships. Use that as you may, but I'm just telling you guys, using that energy in a way other than to release, like an animal, you can use it in other ways. You really can. If we were animals, that would be the one way that we use it. But that is an energy that is throughout our very being. And by controlling yourself, having respect for yourself, being patient and setting boundaries and It's interesting how those are characteristics of successful people. People who are just all over the place. They're chaos, contention. It's you feel this. They're like a dark cloud when they walk through life. They typically have a lack of boundaries. They are very disrespectful. They have no control over those primal urges, you know. And so I'm just kind of teaching you something here that has nothing to do with my religious or spiritual values. I'm simply talking to us as you know how you're able to use all the resources available to you. And your sexual energy does not have to be used in a sexual way. Okay, so take that as you may. It's a very powerful tool. Um, on a side note, before I close, in my younger years there were people that thought that I was doing things that I wasn't because of the kind of energy and the charisma that I had and you know leaders come off that way. They really do. And so later when they would find out that I wasn't necessarily using those energies in that way, it was surprising to them. But see, I had those results that I was seeking because of the way that I used that harnessed energy. People that were using that in a way that I'm promulgating against at this very moment um, didn't have as good of results as me. So, you know, see what that gets you by pondering that. For the most part, this wraps up, you know, the 1, 2, 3 method. Um, thank you very much. It's been great working with you guys. For those of you that I don't know personally, I love you. I care about you. And I put this together because I do want to make a difference. And I want to bring people together. And I want us all to be that energy as one, which is really what affinity is about. So go up from here. Always look up.